What is up? Oh my gracious, YouTube. Here we go again. Oh my gracious. Dave's landlord makes bold move in Tesla body case. Lord have mercy. Lord have mercy. They still haven't charged him with anything. I don't know, but we about to find out. Y'all hit that subscribe button, hit that bell. Hey, let's check it out, man.
6 weeks after the tragic discovery of teenager Celeste Rivas Hernandez's body in a Tesla linked to rising singer David, the investigation is now taking a new turn. Frustrated by what he calls a lack of information from police, the owner of the Hollywood Hills mansion where David had apparently been staying has hired a private investigator to dig into the property, review surveillance, interview potential witnesses in hopes of uncovering critical details that may have gone unnoticed. We are going to be speaking to the former Natalie Holloway private investigator, TJ Ward, to break down what this kind of private investigation can reveal and what we can expect. Welcome to Sidebar, presented by Law and Crime. I'm Jesse Weber. The investigation into Houston-born singer David, real name David Anthony Burke, is taking yet another turn. Weeks after the body of 14-year-old Celeste Rivas Hernandez was found decomposed inside of a Tesla that was reportedly registered to him, there is now a new development. A development that could shift the entire focus of this case. Has to do with the Los Angeles home that David was apparently renting out just before the discovery of the body in the Tesla. Someone is reportedly being brought in behind the scenes to dig for answers. And we're going to get to that. But first, here's how all this began, okay? September 8th, LAPD officers were called to a Hollywood tow yard on Mansfield Avenue after workers noticed a foul odor coming from a Tesla that was registered out of Texas. The vehicle had reportedly been abandoned in the Hollywood Hills days earlier and was towed. When officers opened the front trunk, that is when they made a horrifying discovery. Human remains wrapped in plastic. The Los Angeles County Medical Examiner later identified the dismembered body of 14-year-old Celeste Rivas Hernandez, who had been reported missing from Riverside County in April of 2024. According to authorities, Celeste's remains were badly decomposed. So this is possibly suggesting that she had been in that car for an extended period of time. To be clear, her official cause of death remains deferred at this point. There appears to be more testing that needs to be done. But at the time she disappeared, there were rumors that were circulating linking Celeste to David, this rising singer. There was apparent Discord chat screenshots and fan speculation suggesting that she had been in contact with him and they may have been in some sort of relationship despite the age difference, 20 years old. Celeste's family told NBC Los Angeles that her 15th birthday was the day before her body was found, that she had disappeared after leaving home to see a movie. One detail that immediately drew attention is that Celeste reportedly had a tattoo on her finger that read, "Shh." This is a design that appeared almost identical to one seen in photos of David's own hand. Since the discovery, the fallout for David has been swift and it's been severe. Both of his remaining U.S. tour dates, San Francisco, Los Angeles, they were canceled along with multiple European shows that were listed on Ticketmaster. A planned Grammy Museum appearance in LA also quietly vanished from the venue site. His label Interscope Records confirmed to TMZ that all promotional activities, including his deluxe album release, has been paused. His brand deals falling apart. He was featured in this Hollister and Crocs collaboration. That has apparently been scrubbed from the campaign days after the launch. In a brief statement, a spokesperson said the singer is cooperating fully with authorities, though no arrests have been made. David has not been implicated in any wrongdoing. He is not facing any crimes. He hasn't been charged. He isn't an official suspect. And he's been silent publicly. We now know that he's retained a powerhouse criminal defense attorney, Blair Burke, who has represented a number of celebrities. No statement from her or from David's team so far. And as of now, 6 weeks after this grim discovery, there have been no arrests. There's been no publicly named suspects, no confirmed cause of death, as I said, no confirmed persons of interest. They haven't even identified the exact connection between Celeste and David. And this situation, I will tell you, is rapidly evolving and it seems behind the scenes. Because now, in the weeks since Celeste's body was found, there are new details that are beginning to surface. By the way, we have been on top of this story from the beginning. We're always trying to provide you updates, developments as they happen, and the reason that we can do that is because of the amazing support that we get from our incredible sponsor, Morgan & Morgan. This is America. More than $26 million. That is 40 times the insurer's $650 claim that a private investigator LC sidebar by clicking the link below or scanning the QR code on screen.
We try to
Sources
skip these.
confirm that a private investigator has now entered the picture, and it could change what we know about who's really driving this case forward and why it might be driving it forward. I'm going to get to that, but first, to help us break it all down, I want to bring on a special guest. I'm joined right now by private investigator TJ Ward, who, by the way, was the PI on the Natalie Holloway case. TJ, thank you so much for taking the time. Really appreciate it.
Oh, you're very welcome. Thank you for having me.
Now, based on your experience, and we're going to get into this new update in a minute, but based on your experience with missing teen cases, what are the early investigative red flags that you would have noticed, that you would have caught on to, or highlighted in this one, in Celeste Rivas Hernandez's disappearance, the online rumors connecting her to David?
Well, one of the things that you need to do after a law enforcement gets involved is start looking at everybody that's involved. You have to start looking at those people and who they may think may be involved or what may be involved. So obviously this body was found in the trunk of this man's car. And now one of the things that we have that is kind of unique is there's cameras everywhere. So looking at cameras and finding if there was cameras near where his car was or how his car got there or where it may have been is real important. But even when I get involved in cases, when I get hired, I always look into the person that hired me. I start looking into them also. That's real important. You need to find the background about the person that wants to hire you and why. And let me tell you why I tell you that. I have been hired or tried to get hired on people that have protective orders against them, and they want to hire me to find out what's going on with the person they have a protective order against them. So you have to be real careful and look at the person that's hiring you also to be able to get into a case. You don't want to get caught up in something of that nature. But that's what brought my attention several years ago when somebody tried to hire me when they actually had a protective order against them. And so I started looking at everybody that hires me. I look into them first and see what's going on with them.
That leads me perfectly into what's happening right now, because the new focus seems to involve this LA home that David reportedly rented for tens of thousands of dollars a month prior to Celeste's body being found. And this leads to a new development I want to get into. So TMZ reports that a private investigator has been brought into this in some way, not by law enforcement, no, that the owner of this Hollywood Hills mansion where Burke was staying has reportedly hired his own PI after growing frustrated with the lack of information from the LAPD. So on September 8th, let's put in context here. September 8th, the decomposed remains of 14-year-old Celeste Rivas Hernandez were discovered wrapped in plastic in the front trunk of Burke's impounded Tesla. September 17th, LAPD homicide detectives, they executed a search warrant on a reported $4.1 million Hollywood Hills rental property that David was reportedly staying at when Celeste's body was found. And this is reportedly near where the Tesla was. The owner of that property, identified as Mladen Trifunovic, apologies if I'm mispronouncing the name, he reportedly told the Daily Mail that he has only limited contact with police and is deeply concerned about what role his property may have played in all this. And this is why he has now taken independent action. According to reporting from multiple outlets, he has hired a private investigator to review surveillance footage and interview potential witnesses to establish a timeline of events and determine if and when Celeste was at this property. In a statement, he told the Daily Mail, "I have a private investigator gathering information because my family and I want to understand what may or may not have happened in or around a home that is very special to us. We are not interfering with the LAPD's investigation. We are simply seeking answers I fear may not be communicated to us unless we use a licensed investigator." And he later added to TMZ that the PI's work is still ongoing and that it's still early in the process. TJ, your reaction?
Well, I believe that's a smart thing to do because they don't know from this point what law enforcement has or what their intentions are. So whatever reason, this guy who's now been implicated, maybe of this death of this girl was in the back of his car. It's real important to find out. And I think you told me that LAPD issued a search warrant to go into the home and to search the home. Well, what were they looking for? What did they find? And what did they remove from the home? So for this homeowner to incorporate a private investigator would be a very smart and tactical thing to do to protect himself about this home, because now this home has become a piece of evidence in the course of this investigation for whatever reason. So this investigator needs to find out what is the reason and what did they find, what did they take out of the house, and what are they looking for. So this is real important. Right. Now, I'm sure they got the copy of the search warrant and the return on the search warrant, which would tell the public exactly, or law enforcement, what they took out of the house and what they did.
Let's be clear about something. What is there something that a PI, is there information that a PI can get that law enforcement may have trouble getting? Is there something in the PI's investigation that could be communicated to, let's say, the public, to the media, to this homeowner in a way that the police can't? I guess the question becomes, what gaps could a PI fill in this investigation that police can't, particularly when we're all trying to get more information about what happened here?
Well, let me tell you something that's real interesting. And just think about this. There's a lot of witnesses or a lot of people that may be involved in this that don't want to talk to law enforcement, but would talk to a private investigator to give them additional information. I believe that the investigator probably has an obligation to deal with the police if they gather new information and give it to them in the course of the investigation. When I know that I get a case involving law enforcement, one of the first things I do is let them know that I'm working on a case, because it'll be real important if you're trying to solve the case or trying to protect this person that, in this case, that owns this house. I think it's real important that you share information with them that may help them instead of hurting them in the course of this investigation.
Does a private investigator have to share information they learn with law enforcement?
No, they don't, but could become a witness. If law enforcement found out that you had information, you wouldn't be protected to keep that information from law enforcement. To give an example, a lot of times when I get hired on domestic cases, I let the lawyer hire me, because then all the evidence that I find is not discoverable because it becomes part of the investigation. So if an individual hires me in the course of a domestic case, then that information becomes open for the defense or plaintiff to be able to get from me. So it's real important to be able to, if you're going to have a working relationship with law enforcement, you need to work with them. If it's a matter of learning new information that may impose his client, then it needs to be discussed and get a lawyer involved with that individual and share that information with a lawyer and not law enforcement. So, I mean, you have to understand and take what's transpiring, what the goal is in this case. And the goal in this case, somebody's died, so law enforcement's trying to find out who's responsible. But again, I think witnesses and trying to find information for law enforcement in the course that we're trying to find out who committed this crime, I think would be helpful for a private investigator to be in to gather information. Because again, a lot of people that are maybe witnesses or involved in this case don't want to deal with the police. They just don't want to deal with law enforcement. And I can tell you, law enforcement has changed drastically in the last couple of years. I was a police officer 47 years, and it's nothing like the way it used to be. I mean, look what's going on now with all these the ICE units. You got people trying to hurt police officers. I mean, it's incredible. It's on the film. It's on film. And that wouldn't have happened 10 years ago. That would not have happened.
No, I hear you. And that's a whole separate, very serious and distressing situation that's happening across the country. Going back to this, though, with the private investigator, are there situations where a PI's work could jeopardize the ongoing police investigation. You know, you wonder, could this unintentionally tip off suspects? Could it influence the police's work going forward? So if you have this PI who's now part of this, could that complicate the law enforcement's investigation?
Again, I would, if I was involved in this, I would make sure that law enforcement knows that I was involved. And a lot of private investigators are former police officers, and so gathering information, if there's something that would be crucial against this homeowner in this case, then I would have the homeowner hire a lawyer, and whatever information the private investigator found, give it to the lawyer so it's confidential. So you've got to look at that. There's a whole lot of pictures you need to look at in order when you get a private investigator involved. So what's the goal to find out what's going on? If law enforcement's involved, you got to find out if you're going to deal with law enforcement, and if there's something that might compromise the investigation, then there needs to be a lawyer on board for that private investigator to share that information with, so it becomes confidential.
And by the way, real quick, because I have you, I wanted to ask you a couple more points about this case. Are there limitations in a private investigator's work? You know, they don't have the ability to authorize search warrants or something of that nature, but their ability to actually get forensic evidence, surveillance evidence. You talked about how people might be more willing to talk to a private investigator, but what are some of the limitations that we should be aware of?
When there's an active case, a private investigator is not going to have access to anything that the police have currently held. I mean, just like you said, looking for fingerprints or other evidence was taken. As long as that case is open, you're not going to be entitled to it, and it's not going to happen.
Right.
And if when the case is closed, then you're entitled to everything that's sitting there that law enforcement has. But you're not going to get that. So again, a private investigator cannot do anything to violate the law. Right. And so, I mean, finding evidence that may be crucial to this investigation, the smart thing would do is turn it over to law enforcement and not trying to covertly keep it uncovered, because you don't want to get caught up in doing something in an investigation that may cause crucial problems for law enforcement. You just don't do that.
Appreciate that. Okay, so while I have you, I have to ask you about a few updates in this case, and it also helps with the timeline too. So on September 18th, the same day as that alleged swatting incident of David's parents' home in Texas, there were two dates, September 18th and I believe the 21st. This is around the time when property records show that David transferred deeds for 2 Texas homes into a trust under his mother's name. There was a second transfer that happened on September 22nd, not the 21st. And that's after LAPD had executed a search warrant on the LA home, again, where the Tesla was found. How significant do you think what's happening in Texas, and how significant do you think transferring those properties is to this ongoing investigation?
Do we know that this is part of that investigation? Has law enforcement subpoenaed anything in Texas? Have they gotten documents? Do they know about what happened in Texas? If they do, then they need to probably subpoena or gather law enforcement there to gather information and whatever's transferred across the state lines.
You think a PI is looking into that? The PI that was looking in,
yes.
You think that PI might be looking into that?
Yeah, there's a possibility. Any and all information that law enforcement has that he may know. That's why you sometimes work hand on law enforcement. And I've done this, and I get information from law enforcement when they know that I'm also trying to gather information on their behalf or for my behalf or for a client to share information. What's the goal in the case when the PI is hired? What is the goal? That's what the answer is. The goal in this case apparently was the homeowner was concerned why law enforcement was involved in looking at his home because of this individual that's being targeted about this possible murder. Then any information that's come out of that house, I think, is crucial for that private investigator to learn and to be able to use and transfer back to his client.
By the way, in case anybody didn't see it, the body cam footage that we obtained, it shows officers approaching this Texas house, David's parents' house, with guns drawn. They're expecting, a possible shooting. Remember, this is an alleged fake call to 911. And now this is an apparent swatting incident. Take a look.
Go ahead. I got you covered. Come right here. There's too many windows. Here, knock on the door. Oh, there's a window right there. Yeah. I got you right here. I'm just trying to get out of this window.
Here's off.
Okay. We got a phone call from here saying that somebody was dead. Is there somebody else that lives on this property that has your address? What's your address?
My address is 3715.
That's it.
That's it. That's what I actually got.
We got an address. There was a gunshot and a woman screamed.
What?
I'm serious. That's why we came up here like this, because and then they talked to the caller. Whoever they were talking to said that there's a person dead.
No, sir. No, sir.
That's not how they would do this. They closed the door on them. And they still standing there. You can see them through the glass.
Knock on the door. We need to talk to him. We ain't got time for this.
Ma'am, we got to figure out what's going on so we can leave, okay? I need you to talk to us.
We have calls dropping. Everything's okay.
I'm sorry? For what? We're right here.
Very advised. We made contact. They said nothing happened here. She shut the door. Now she's calling 911.
That's right. That's right. Do something.
Sir, we haven't received a call.
I believe she's going to be in the process.
Go ahead, give him a call if you want to verify it. Okay.
All right, she's calling you now.
Please.
Where the man at?
Go ahead, District 81.
They had to open the door. They closed the door back like they can't get in. This is crazy, man. People do some sad stuff.
Huh? That's not normal activity. If you were at the wrong address, they'd be concerned about somebody else. Like really? Like, you know what I mean? Like, they'd be trying to help.
Right. That's scary that they're not trying to help. Especially what went down with their son, right?
I'm gonna go put my rifle up. The call we got was somebody was dead. Whoever called said there's somebody that's dead, for sure.
Highway 6 northbound at SM 2979 at the gas station. You're going to have a trailer axle caught on fire on the big rig. They are trying to put it out for the fire department.
Okay, she opened the door again. He got a jacket on now.
Sorry to bother you, but somebody called and said there was something. There was a person they called on themselves. You know what I mean? It was like, hey, there's somebody dead.
Someone's dead.
That's what we have. I mean, we have to take caution. You know what I mean? Wasn't trying to scare y'all. Just this house is way off the roadway. We didn't know what we were rolling up on.
Damn.
So you just opened the gate and came in?
Yes, ma'am. I'll put it back. I have a gate just like it.
I can get part of my country.
Yeah, when it's something like this, when they say somebody's dead, their life matters more than, you know what I mean? I didn't damage your gate. I just opened it. It ain't on their phone.
And that's not it. This is not a Texas.
Yeah, it's an out-of-state number.
Someone's messing with us.
But it would be pinged here though, because wherever they call from, it pings and sends it to dispatch.
What the what?
So like whenever you call 911, wherever you are, it sends like a ping that's how they know the address.
And this address came up to this number?
Man, that's crazy.
That's where he was meeting with engine 42.
So
Oh my God.
It could be. We'll check the property for you.
Yes, please.
So we'll ride around. If you can give me a layout, how's the property? Like, does it go further? Like,
no, it doesn't go any further back. It's just right here, and then it goes
Follow the fence with the gate and the fence around. Just around the fence. Okay.
Well, him and I will ride around and check, and then we'll leave. And I'll put the pin back. Because all you do is pull that pin and then pull it. And I'll put it all back together.
Thank you, sir.
But yeah, no, I'll take it apart because when it's something like that, when somebody says something like that, we got to get up here to save somebody's life, you know?
Yeah, okay. So that was a false alarm. You see, I don't like this kind of thing. So if I really do have an emergency, then...
Yeah.
Okay. Thank you, ma'am. Sorry.
Well, if you do have an emergency, you know we're going to be here.
Okay.
We're going to get here.
Yeah, okay.
Thank you, gentlemen.
Thank you.
All right.
You all have a good night.
And you can hear David's mother worried that someone might be on the property. According to a police report, officers, they stayed about 20 minutes after clearing the scene, never found a shooter, no one was hurt. It appears to have been, an alleged swatting call. The question becomes why. You have a few days later, that 911 call was released from that incident. It is strange. The caller's voice sounds distorted, maybe even run through a voice changer.
Waller County Sheriff's Office is Amber. Hello?
Hello?
Yeah, Waller County Sheriff's Office.
Hello, I need help.
Okay, what's going on? Where are you at?
My address is...
Dang.
Okay, what's going on?
I heard, some, gunshots.
Okay. How close to your residence were they?
That sounds fake, but you gotta check everything.
They were, right outside my house, and I think someone's dead.
Okay, what's your name?
Say it again?
What's your name? Okay, what's a good phone number for you, sir? Okay, and why do you believe that somebody's dead?
I just heard, a loud scream, and there was, gunshots.
Oh, scream. Okay. After shot. Okay, but you haven't saw or heard anything else after that?
I heard a scream.
Oh, was it a male or a female scream, do you think?
It was a female.
Female? Okay, we're going to go ahead and get deputies headed out that way. Just confirming you're at...
Yes.
Okay, I'm going to get them sent that way, okay?
Okay, thank you.
You're welcome. Bye-bye.
We brought on forensic audio expert Jennifer Owen, president of Owen Forensic Services, to analyze that recording. Here's what she told us.
Well, first and foremost, just listening to it as either a lay person or if you were a forensic audio analyst, it's the robotic inflection. That's the first tip right then and there where you're like, wait a second, what am I hearing? It's the irregular vibrato, it's the inflection, and then you're saying, well, it could be the way it was recorded because there's also a lot of recording problems when it goes into something like this. So just from listening, you're like, wait a second, that's a red flag. We need to dig a little bit deeper into this. So then I'm going to ask you about the provenance or the integrity and, the source recording of where we got this from. And that brings up an issue in your business because you're constantly investigating. The truth seekers, the truth tellers always come to me and say, hey, can I put this on the air and be absolutely sure about what I'm saying here? Mm-hmm. So that brings us to, all right, I've gotten a red flag because I listened to it. So let me ask the person who gave this to me about the integrity of the recording. Now, here's the problem. By the time it gets to us or the investigators or the truth seekers, as I call everybody, or anyone in forensics, it's been stepped on and touched by a million different hands. And it's been downloaded and uploaded, and it's been over here and encoded and transcoded and rewrapped and every which way but up. So you would look at the metadata, you would look at the media information, you would look what I call underneath the hood, hexadecimal data, things of that nature to say, hey, where did this come from? And can we trust the source? And most of the time you can't. But just from my experience and, 30 years of doing this, it sounded like a voice changer to me. And the reason why it sounded like a voice changer is because it all had to do with pitch. And for those of you at home, real simple, pitch is how high or how low your voice can go. And that's real easy to change.
Right. Is there a way to pinpoint the true voice of this person and be able to identify who this person is?
Well, this is the forensic question. And you know what? Unfortunately, you're going to get the answer. It depends. And again, it depends on the provenance and the integrity of the recording. What I can do and what I showed in this example is I showed you how I can start from the recording that you gave me, how I've changed it, and how I can bring it back to exactly what it was before. So it depends answer is if I had that original recording and we had, an alleged or a person of interest or a couple persons of interest, and if I lowered or raised the pitch to the same frequency, and we had some matching frequency, it would make a very interesting pool of suspects.
So, TJ, by the way, I've been wondering something, and I'm curious your perspective on it. You go back to the idea of this body being found in this car on a public street. It was there, the car was there for quite some time. People were noticing it, ticket, towed, the body's found right in there. There is an argument that someone wanted that body to be found in this car registered to David. Goes to the idea of, is he being targeted? Is he being harassed? And then, out of all times, for this alleged swatting incident to happen at his parents' house, it happens during the course of this investigation. Is this something that raises a red flag for you? Is this something where you say there might be, particularly since there hasn't been an arrest yet, where this might be an incident where he's not directly involved? And remember, he's not been charged with a crime. He's not been implicated in any wrongdoing. I'm talking about David. But you do wonder, is he being targeted in some way?
Maybe. And here's one of the things. Start looking at phone records, looking at computer records of people who may be involved. Looking at her, I'm sure they pulled everything on this girl that's been found dead, whether she was on Facebook or whatever. Somebody may know something. And again, the car was sitting out there with her cameras, any door cameras on houses or anything there. All that needs to be found. You're going to have to knock on doors, see if people saw something, any witnesses saw anything that may have been improper, or anybody been around that car or seen anything that's come up. Cameras are the great deal now, being able to find. Everybody's got door cams now. And door cams have been evidence of solving a lot of crimes. So if this vehicle was parked on the street, whether there are a lot of houses in the subdivision, or where was it exactly? I didn't pick up on that.
TJ, before I let you go, I got to ask you big picture here, right? No suspect's been identified by law enforcement, no person of interest, no arrests. To be clear, they haven't even confirmed an exact relationship between David and Celeste. We don't know exactly where David is at this point. Law enforcement hasn't released a ton of information. Cause, manner of death, hasn't been released as of yet. Seems like there needs to be more testing. We, the public, are fascinated with this case for a lot of different reasons. We want justice for what happened to Celeste here. Want answers. Is everything that's happening right now, is this common in an investigation, the lack of information, the lack of communication from law enforcement? Or do you see this case as kind of an outlier and different? A lot of people who might be new to true crime or new to investigations might say something strange, but somebody who's so experienced as you, would you say to us, don't look at this as anything different? Yes, it's a horrible situation. It's a horrible death, but the way it's being conducted is not outside the norm.
We don't know what law enforcement has. And when law enforcement goes public to talk to the general who wants to know and TV, they have to be very careful about what they say, not to disclose anything, any evidence they have. That's why they're very careful about saying and going into details about what their investigation is. We don't know what law enforcement has at this point. And of course, we Don't know what the private investigator has. He hasn't gone public with anything because he's got a client that owned the house. Has the client, the owners of the house, have they hired lawyers? Do they have lawyers involved?
I don't know.
You don't know? I think it would be real important for that homeowner to have a lawyer on board, especially with this private investigator being involved. I just really think that he needs to communicate everything on behalf of the homeowner. And there may be some things he does not want to share with law enforcement. And so, again, it's just a matter of where law enforcement is with the case, where the private investigator is with the case, what you turn over and what you don't turn over. It's just every case is different of what's transpired. I mean, I can tell you, I've worked a lot of criminal cases, and see, I've been in law enforcement, so I've been on the other side of the picture to know what's going on. But private investigators just need to make sure they don't violate anything that's a law, that they don't do anything wrong, and to deal with their client and get information. But again, dealing with law enforcement in these type of cases is probably a good idea.
Thank you for taking the time. Really, really appreciate your insight into this, and we'll see where this case goes next. And that is all we have for you right now here on Sidebar. Everybody, thank you so much for joining us. And as always, please subscribe on YouTube, Apple Podcasts, Spotify, wherever you should get your podcasts. You can follow me on X or Instagram. I'm Jesse Weber. I'll see you next time.
What's happening, Jesse? Jesse say he see you next time. Hey, oh my God, man. I'm you know, one thing that's kind of strange to me, but I guess they didn't have a reason to go in. The mother and father, when they came to the door, they could have had somebody in their house. I'm just thinking, can we check the house? They never went in and checked the house. At least I don't think so. I don't know. I mean, they could have had a body in the, even though I know it's all fake, but this is hard, man. People lie so much, it's just hard. Y'all tell me what y'all think, man. I think that, somebody is playing tricks. I really think, I hate to say it because I don't know too much about the case, but what little bit I do know, dude, you have a dead, I'm trying to think, I'm supposed to say dead? You have a body in your car that belongs to you. Them are some red flags. That's all I know. Y'all take it light, take it slow. Tell him Uncle Mike told you so. Peace out.